Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first session of the day. Thank you for braving the rain and the roads to join us today. It's a pleasure to welcome up on stage our panelists for today, Patrick Antaki of HMH, Alberto Bounous of KAFD, and Sabra of Jabal Omar Development Company.
Morning.
So I think for me, kind of listening to a lot of the different discussions that have been going on over the last few days, I think my biggest takeaway is that we're in an extremely fast evolving situation. We don't necessarily know who our consumer of yesterday is, not our consumer of today, is not our consumer of tomorrow. Our residents are changing. You know, what it means to be a Riyadhi now is everybody from a European expat to a Chinese entrepreneur to a Jadawi who's relocated to Riyadh. Our city is changing, and not only Riyadh, Jeddah, smaller cities, and how people are using them, living in them, engaging with them is really a moving target. So I think today's panel, I'm very excited to hear from some people with some very specific points of view on looking at how we start making sure that we are building the most competitive, the most attractive, and the most aligned cities, communities, development, hospitality offerings that make us not only competitive within the kingdom, but also competitive within the region and as global hubs that are the best of the best and the places that are really drawing talent, drawing interest, and drawing people who are coming for a different type of experience and lifestyle. So perhaps to start off, Alberto, obviously as KAFD is one of the leading thinkers in how to do things a little bit differently, and what you're doing in KAFD is very different to what we've seen in Riyadh in the past in terms of neighborhood development. Perhaps you could just start off on why are you different? Why do I want to move to KAFD? Why do I want to come stay there? What's the special sauce?
Perfect, thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much for welcoming to the panel, to this session. KAFD is an amazing project that very much is looking to contribute to what is the evolving and the improving of Riyadh as a capital city of the kingdom, but also potentially a new center for the Middle East and beyond. So what I like about KAFD, it is not just, we don't want to become a destination, we want to create an ecosystem where we want to create a 15-minute city. So we're not necessarily inventing everything new, we're just trying to catch the best of what the world has to offer in terms of urbanism, master planning, and architecture and experience, and bringing it into an area where everyone will also come to work, live, and play. So when we talk about hospitality in KAFD, we're talking with all the various biggest operators that are available globally. And what we want to create, we want to introduce and integrate hospitality within the ecosystem of our master plan. So we like the idea that if you arrive to Riyadh in the evening and you need to go, in Riyadh it's still a problem that when you come out of your hotel, you cannot really walk anywhere. You have to take a taxi, so you end up eating by yourself in the dining room of your hotel. We hope that we're creating an ecosystem by which you are actually able to leave the hotel, enjoy walking and exploring the neighborhood, and maybe have a dining experience somewhere else. So everything that is built in KAFD sort of works together, is synergized with the other offerings that we have. So it's clearly a big mixed development where we have a big residential component, a big commercial component, and the hospitality very much complement this. We are also very lucky because it's a very connected neighborhood. When it was created, it was a little bit the outskirts of town. Now the city has encircled us, so we're becoming more and more central. We have 3 lines of the metro connecting us with the rest of Riyadh. So our station is the only station with 3 lines. So we have a direct connection to the airport, etc. So we think really that if you're lucky enough to get a job in one of the many companies that work that have spaces in KAFD, you would want to choose to live there. And there you have this sort of very sort of pleasant experience of having everything what you need to live, work, and play within very much walking distance.
Thank you, Alberto. And I think a lot of the conversations that we had before this panel was maybe challenging some of the assumptions that many developers have done and many hospitality offerings have done, is really kind of starting to think about how are people thinking and feeling about things differently. But I think Patrick, your hotel group is really making a difference by working out how you create a very unique niche, and how you differentiate yourself from the competition. And we talked a lot about the idea of what wellness means and how that fits in with a younger demographic, a new consumer. Perhaps you could outline how you're seeing an ability to be competitive and to be differentiated in new urban environments.
Sure, thanks, Ben. And I must say, the company started back in 2003. Started from a very classic point of view, but it was at the time, it was started in the United Arab Emirates, and it was the first company that was brave enough to be alcohol-free or dry hotels. At that time, it was well beyond its realm. People were always thinking of just classic way of doing things. So when we came to Saudi Arabia, they said, "Oh yeah, but that's normal for you, so you do it normally." But what we found is, having done that over the years, it's not just about not having the alcohol, it's about being different. It's about looking at the wellness of the person. It's about the family. It's about differentiating ourselves from everybody else. We are a small company. We are from the Middle East, or from the GCC. So we have to differentiate ourselves. So we took it into the wellness side. What does wellness mean for us? Does it mean having a spa? No, it doesn't. It means looking after our guests. So having, for example, pre-drawn jogging maps for those who don't know the areas. It means, giving advice on people on how to look after yourself. Today, of course, you have the TikToks and all the Instagrams and everything else that gives you these things. So it's to help people looking after themselves. It's about the menus that we are offering, to keep in it all the superfoods, keep up to the fashions of food, but at the same time helping people looking after their diets. Does it mean it's only healthy food? No, it's not. You can have a pizza, but you know what is on your pizza, or you can have a gluten-free pizza, or you can have all these new latest things that help you look after yourself. Is that the only thing that, we do, or the hospitality needs? No, it's not. It needs a lot more than this. One of the classic things is with the hotel restaurants. We were insistent that everybody has to eat in the hotel. But today, who's your biggest competitor? It's Talabat, it's Noon, it's all the deliveries. So the hotels that are not keeping up to date with it will end up with a line of drivers in the lobby trying to deliver. And of course, traditionally, hotels don't want drivers in their lobbies, so it's always a fight. Come to the back, come to the front, etc. You need to embrace it. You need to have an area. You need to prepare for it. So we need to keep up with the way things are changing, with the way our millennial customers are moving around. Today, again, people coming to a new city, before starting to rent their flat or where they're going to live, they come and stay in your hotel. So extended stays are becoming an actual thing. So we've come up with a new brand called Ecos. It's a budget lifestyle brand. It's got things like, and I know in many parts of the world it's standard, but here it's new. You get a laundrette inside the hotel. So you got washing machine, dryer, ironing area. Guess what we found? This becomes a social area. So you need to make sure you have everything that makes it fun to be in as well, not just to put your washing and go away. So it becomes an area where it attracts. So good coffee is important in there. Being able to order some food is important in there. So we need to adapt with time, and that's really what a small company has to excel in order to be able to go into places like yours, which is so avant-garde and keeps everybody. I love the idea of a 15-minute city. I think many people are now copying this.
At the end, it's not our idea. It's something that has been done also to resolve congested city centers globally,
exactly.
etc. Right? The beauty of having a master plan, we can also strategize. So when we look at what the customer wants and how the requirements evolve, we can choose hospitality brands or F&B or experiences which are scattered across the master plan to to cater for all of these different tastes, right? So we're working with some hospitality brands which have a big focus on gym, wellness, etc. Some of them are much more sort of business oriented, so because we also have a big sort of conference center in MICE, so based on the zoning that we created, we can bring in the hospitality that complement each other so they don't cannibalize each other. But we can then combine it with branded residencies, so this experience you're saying is absolutely right? People will come. Companies normally would pay you for a first month accommodation in a hotel while you look for a place to live, right? So we would offer that as well, so that you can arrive, you can stay in the hotel, then you move maybe to a branded residency, so then you find the branded apartment that you want, and still you never left KAFD. Once you're in, we don't let you out.
That's the best way, isn't it?
And I think it really, I think a shift that I've seen in this conference is this kind of renewed interest that we have, I think here or within the wider region, of local, homegrown, connected, community, really kind of going back to kind of the Hafawa principles that are really enshrined in how hospitality is seen in the region, which I think for a period it was very much, international is better, foreign is better, anodyne is better, and now I think bringing those kind of pieces back that are really starting to create those kind of linkages and those kind of social moments is very much in line with a young international traveling population and a much younger, whether you work for a Fortune 500 company in KAFD, you might also be 28 and very much, wearing sneakers and living a hybrid work style. Samar, I think in many ways, perhaps many people would think that your area of the business is much more traditional. Looking at the Umrah, religious tourism, and the kind of the pilgrim community. However, it seems also that that's something which is also evolving at speed as you get new types of people coming and what they want and what they want from that experience and how it kind of moves on. Obviously you have the luxury that we would all love to have, which is you have too many people rather than having all of the rest of us trying to work out how we fill our cities and our hotel rooms.
Too many people at the same time, so it's a bit of challenging. I think Mecca as a city, as a holy city, presents its own challenges in terms of attracting the mass at the same time, doing the same rituals. But today we, as in Jabal Omar, as a master developer and one of the biggest master development in Mecca, we are trying really to combine the hospitality experience to the mass market and to elevate the hospitality experience that these pilgrims will have in Mecca. So definitely the first thing that you will do in Mecca is the religious rituals that you need to do. But this doesn't mean that you need to only do this. So you are providing all kinds of experiences. You are combining hospitality. You are combining also commercial experience where we have the malls in order to present the retail experience for different, bringing some good brands, that brand that need to go to Mecca. You can go, you can do your rituals, you can shop at the malls, you can have other also hospitality experiences. You have some religious tours that you can do it also inside the city or outside the city. So this is very important in order to elevate the hospitality experience of all kinds of people coming to Mecca.
And I think what we talked about a little bit earlier was this idea of potentially that religious tourism piece being a gateway into a lot of other pieces across Saudi, whether that's coming for a high-end experience of dining at KAFD, whether it's visiting Al-Ula, Neom, Red Sea, as all of Yanbu, I think, as we've heard. How do we start building that? Yeah. So I'd be very interested to hear from all of you. I think one of our challenges is going to be how do we make sure that all of these different areas and assets that we're developing become complementary and don't become competitive. So how do you see from your unique perspectives that we can start building this as a web of hospitality and a web of urban development that is supportive rather than competitive?
I think this is the beauty that we have now in Saudi Arabia by the different destinations that are being created and established everywhere. So it doesn't mean that if you are coming for religious tourism or religious rituals, you don't need to go somewhere else, or you just need to finish what you need to do for like 1 day or 2 days and not go, for example, to visit KAFD or visit the Red Sea or visit Neom. And this is where the travel agents and combining packages for the travelers is very important in order to elevate the experience and benefit from the destinations that are being created and how people will move across Saudi Arabia. And the first thing that has been done is the relaxation of the visa. So today you have a tourist visa and you can do whatever you want when you are inside the country. So you can go to any other place, you can go to visit different destination, and this will create really an experience, a different experience for all the visitors to the kingdom.
I think with regards to KAFD, we make sure that we master planning. What you see of KAFD today is only about sort of 30% of what you need to build, right? We have a big land bank of another approximately 1 million square meter of land that we need to develop with approximately another 2.4, 2.5 million of the GFA that we have to build. So, I mean, everything you describe, I think maybe is more applicable for the opportunity that Jeddah, Medina, Mecca offer in terms of exploring the neighboring area, etc. I think we see more Riyadh as a future capital of the Middle East. So we try to see ourselves as a big part of the jigsaw of what's happening in Riyadh. So we look at what's happening with all the big projects we have, from Project Rise, tallest building in the world, with the new Murabba projects, the Expo coming, the Qiddiya. There's going to be a very fast train connection that will take all the visitors from the airport directly to Qiddiya. They will only have one stop in Riyadh, and that will be in KAFD. So that, again, will put us more and more in the center of the connectivity for the capital. So we want to make sure we complement and we contribute to what is the evolution of Riyadh as a city where people will actually want to come and stay and live.
And I always think it's always surprising about what the thing that trips up urbanization often is. It's always sometimes something very, very unexpected. So when you look at a city like Riyadh, where we're doing so many different things all over the place, and there's very much a question of phasing and sequencing. What do you think is needed to make sure that all of those different elements kind of come into place? Obviously, if you're throwing massive conferences and there's no hotels, massive problem. How do you kind of foresee us being able to do that best to make sure that we don't end up kind of damaging our brand and damaging our ability to deliver in the eyes of the global community?
I think probably that one is one of the biggest challenges that we have, both as KAFD, but I think even in the bigger picture as Riyadh, right? We have these big events coming, and we have so many projects, and everyone is coming down to a stage where design is almost complete, so all of these projects will go out to tender at the same time. There's just not enough contracting capacity to be able to deliver everything in time. So we need to and we start to do this, and maybe focusing on our phasing strategy based on what we think the city requires most. In the absence of a city strategy that I'm sure at some point we will be told, what is you guys doing? Okay, concentrate on hospitality because we need the keys for these events, and then maybe you can phase out your residential. Right? So we started thinking along those lines of what we think it makes sense for the city. But clearly also because we're developing a city, we need to make sure that when you open hospitality, they're not islands surrounded by construction sites. So we need to make sure that we position them physically and logistically in areas that we know that once they're open, they can perfectly integrate with what's already available. So we extend an ecosystem and we make it grow as more phases come online.
Let me add just to what Alberto is saying, that in terms of the infrastructure, I think also the infrastructure should grow in line with the growing of these destinations that are present or the projects. So, and this is always a challenge that is present in terms of how you can grow your infrastructure in line with the new projects coming to the city in order not to create some bottlenecks or some places where people, they cannot move or they cannot move freely. And this is part of Riyadh, and also the same I think challenge will go to Mecca in terms of infrastructure and how you can elevate the infrastructure in a short period of time in order to accommodate all these people.
I think if I can jump in here as well, especially with Mecca, for example, we know there is a bottleneck in the premium area of Mecca. And then there was an expansion area in Aziziyah, for example. Now we need to go beyond. And I think a lot of people, a lot of developers maybe are afraid or are concerned of going beyond because they're not too sure, sometimes it's a very seasonal type of business. But I think the way the world is going, the way KSA is going and the facilitation that it's doing and the links, the rail links that are being made every other day and the speed at which things are happening, you do need this new expansion joint. We are taking a hotel in a new area of Al Nasim, and many people are saying, but you guys are crazy, it's It's the last area to fill. I think it's going to be the new area because it's away from everywhere. You put in a good quality offering, and you're going to have the people who, like you mentioned earlier, who are not just, they're there to do the prayers and everything, but also they might have children they want to leave, you know, while they're doing their prayers. They want to go to other areas, they want to go shopping, they want to do other things. Mecca is known for being short stays. Medina is the one that has longer stays. Now we need to try and reverse that. So Mecca can have longer stay businesses. So we need to look at things a bit differently.
Obviously, with the transition with Mecca and Medina, the base level is there. It's about extending those stays and creating interest and desire and transition, maybe as we discussed, to other areas. However, how do you, in our new destinations or our expanding destinations like Riyadh and Jeddah, how do we keep loyalty? Because everything's new, everything's interesting, but that's going to pass. KAFD is now an exciting new project. At some point, it's just going to be a project. How do we start making sure that we keep our edge, we keep our competitiveness, we keep our ability to be one step ahead of other cities in the country, other cities in the region, and people choose to be here rather than choose to be somewhere else? How do you see that from your hotel brand, which has a very specific flavor?
Well, there's different, I think there's two, you need to look at it from different angles. It's not just from one angle. One angle being the city and the planning and, you know, things like KAFD. Yes, it's a new idea today. Tomorrow there'll be a lot of people copying it, or a lot of people doing similar. Let's not use copying. But what's the service overall? You know, yesterday we were talking about people. So the buildings are beautiful. Every building is more beautiful than the last one. Every building is more modern than the last one. You know, the furniture, the luxury, the ease of doing things. But what stays in your mind? People. You know, when I first started in the hospitality, they used to say, Hilton at that time used to say, people by people. And it was a very futuristic concept because at that time it was all about service and, you know, how you looked and how you felt, etc. But at the end of the day, it is, you know, a customer, if you make him feel good, if you facilitate everything for him. Let's take a newcomer, a new entrepreneur coming to Riyadh. You know, if life is going to be very difficult, you're not going to keep him. If life is going to be made easy by having all the facilities, somebody to help him to set up an office, somebody to help him who knows how to, you know, get all the licenses, you know, to help him on how to find business, etc. That person is definitely going to come back. So service is important, people are important, as much as facilitating things are important.
Yeah, let me add to what Patrick is saying, that, you know, hospitality is about experience. So it's not only about nice buildings, nice design, infrastructure, nice cities, but it's about the experience that you provide to your customers. But so whenever you go to a hotel, it's about the service, about how people feel. And this is what makes people come back to you, when you provide them with a different experience, different feel, different environment. So this is really what create what differentiates one destination from another.
I guess we see a slightly bigger picture. So we have all the brands. So we don't want to compete. We want Riyadh to be competing with other cities. So we want to create that environment that encourages people to come and move to Riyadh and stay. We don't want to compete with the other projects. We want, together with the other projects, to make Riyadh really the capital of the future. I say often, we are very lucky. We are like being in Florence in 1485. We're witnessing the birth. We're in the middle of the Saudi Renaissance. So we're extremely lucky to have all these, now, and it's incredible how things are changing quickly. When I came to Saudi 5 years ago, you had to ring architects, designer, and you had to explain, you know, who you were, where you were, what were you doing. Now the phone doesn't stop ringing, right? The world is coming to Riyadh. So it's an unprecedented time where we have this incredible opportunity to contribute with everything we do to really the transformation of the city and the kingdom.
One of the things I think we've touched on in our preparation, which I think the three of you have a very unique perspective on. I think what we hear a lot about in hospitality and urban development is all about the high end. It's all about the luxury. It's all about the biggest, the newest, the the most intriguing for a very specific demographic. But I think in all of your different offerings, the middle tier and the supportive tier are critical to making everything work. So how do you see, as our cities grow and as these entities grow, markets are going to need to diversify to be able to keep the actual economy functioning, and we're going to need things for middle class people, working class people, people who are in the service industry. From each of your three perspectives, how do you see that sector being most effectively managed to make sure that your businesses and your positions are most effectively protected? Patrick.
Okay, if I look from our hospitality point of view, again, it's all about being up to date. It's all about reinventing yourself. If I take, we've just come up with our latest brand, Ecos. It's a budget lifestyle brand. And what did we discover? We discovered that people, yes, they love classic hospitality, but they like the millennial touch to it. So that's why today we say, okay, one of the biggest levels of travelers are millennials, but also there's the millennial-minded people. So people who like what the millennials like, but maybe have a bit more money. So even the classic brands need to start redeveloping. So we're now looking at some of our more classic brands, like Coral, and we're giving it an infusion of millennial lifestyle. Because people, remember, if this panel was happening 5 years ago, we would all be wearing ties.
I'm still wearing.
Yeah, you are. Bless you. You still keep. But today things are changing. You know, in a St. Regis today, when you see a manager, he will not necessarily be wearing a tie. But whereas 5 years ago, you'd be, why are you not wearing a tie? Why are you not formal? So things have to evolve, so things have to develop. We were touching on the personal touch. If you look on all the online advisories like, you know, Google Analytics, TripAdvisor, etc., they push hotels up when they have a higher number of satisfaction of customers. You know, so, and we were saying before, satisfaction of customers was mostly for the 5-star deluxe. No, it's not. Take the budget lifestyle hotels. Today, with over 4,000 reviews, we're at 9.1. So you can't fake this. If your culture is not genuinely about caring, helping, etc., you're not going to get there. So for me, you have to be up to date. You have to deliver the best service that you can, and it will help, you know, with the people who are doing the infrastructure, keeping it up there, and I think you've got a very successful...
I think you are absolutely right in terms now of the new generation that are coming and the millennials that you are targeting, because they are looking for something different. They are looking for more technology, they are looking more AI, they are looking for different kind of experiences. Today you have the social media, the interaction between the social media and your personal experience. So it's a different thinking process than what was hospitality 10 years ago or previously. So you need to cater for these people. And this makes the mass for you. These are the new generations that will be coming on regular basis. So these are your target customers that you need to focus upon and to be able to cater for them as much as you can.
Alberto.
I think this is a very interesting question. We look at it again from a more of a sort of master plan and more sort of a 360 kind of point of view, right? So hospitality, obviously a component, and we can adjust to what you see this by selecting and strategizing on the brands that we bring. But then, you know, you were mentioning the way sort of people live. So people are moving away from single dwelling, they're moving into apartments. So we are almost not reinventing, but introducing and adapting to the local culture vertical living. So we want to create a sort of high-rise apartments, because this is the way we see the increase in population in the city is one of the ways to resolve that is obviously to go vertical. So we have sort of a dense vertical residencies, and we look to bring the best of the local culture with what the new architecture and design can bring in terms of vertical living to cater to that. In addition, we have a huge sort of public realm which gets activated a lot with different activities. So even though KAFD, the portion that everyone knows is basically 100% complete, lots of the building is still being fitted out, so it's not fully occupied. But you will see that if you come on weekends, there's plenty of events, and we have a footfall in the excess of 50,000, 60,000 people per weekend, and these are not even people living there yet. So that's how we want to make sure we capture the interest of various generations and various people interests.
Thank you so much, Alberto. Well, hopefully this has been an interesting perspective of how you're going to see all of these extremely diverse offerings very full, and how the evolving urbanization trend that we have here in Saudi can really be world leading and make sure that we are linking aspiration with practicality. So thank you so much to the panel. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And please join me in thanking our panel with a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.